On this week's episode, Doctor Strange gets closer to Spider-Man. More big changes are coming to some movies. And could the biggest hit of 2020 be free? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please send us out that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever you can to support us here, including maybe some Facebook gaming stars our way, it is truly appreciated. Plus, also, I want to give a big shout out to our friends at Retro City Games, where it's 10% off store-wide throughout the entire month of October. So if you're in the Las Vegas area, either in Henderson or Las Vegas, they've got 2 great stores. Please head on down there to support local businesses today right here at Retro City Games. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is at Castle FPV on Twitter, because Instagram, he's still on that self-imposed silence there. So you got to hit him up there at Castle FPV. It is a man indeed from Castle Creative. It is my good friend. It is Marcus de la Garza. And Marcus, welcome back for another episode. You're not tired of me yet, are you?
No, not at all. And in fact, it's been such a great time. We were just talking about continuing on for a few more episodes here for maybe the foreseeable future. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's to come.
Josh is loving it because any type of vacation from me is better for him. But we got a great show coming up for you today. Marcus and I are going to be talking about one of his favorite subjects. Okay, I'm being facetious when I say that. Movie changes, but some big movie changes again as more AAA movies get pushed back, and one notable exception gets pushed up. So we'll talk about that coming up here in a sec. There's a new movie that isn't being pushed back or moved out. It's still coming out in December. And it came out with a new trailer this week that exploded onto the internet. We'll talk about that. And could this movie be the biggest hit in what's been considered probably one of the worst movie years of all time? But could this be the biggest hit of them all? We'll talk about that coming up here in a few minutes as well. I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to our upcoming guest in the back half of the show, Lucas Egan of the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He covers video games, esports like no other. And he and Ryan Smith host an awesome podcast called LAN Parties. So I'm showing everybody now on Facebook Live. It's LAN Parties on the Las Vegas Review-Journal's website or wherever you get your podcasts, where they cover the latest and greatest news, just like we do in the world of video games. So if you want a different slant outside of what we talk about when we're talking about video games, obviously go ahead and hit there. But I'm going to have him on the show on the back half of the hour for those listening on radio worldwide and also on podcast outlets. He's coming up on the back half of the show where we talk esports and the upcoming video game console generation. Plus, also, I have a review of these bad boys right here. This is from our friends at One More. This is right here, the Quad Drivers in-ear headphones. I did a review on this at popculturecosmos.com, but I want to go ahead and tell you my thoughts right here on the radio show coming up in a few minutes, plus the Bluetooth adapter. Now, this is a corded earphone normally, but I want to tell you why you should be able to consider this package coming up here in a bit as well. And of course, we will also honor at the back end of the show the late Eddie Van Halen. Also give a shout out to Johnny Nash. And Marcus and I are thinking about 5 great pop culture holiday gifts that you can get us. Hint, hint, hint. I'm just kidding, but maybe someone will get us this holiday season. But first, my friend, it is the big changes. But I also want to, there's news. Actually, I want to start the show with some news that came in. That Marvel is going to head and send out Doctor Strange to search for Spider-Man and become that mentor in his life that we saw for well, obviously a couple movies already in the Spider-Man universe that Iron Man was. But now that Iron Man's gone, Doctor Strange is going to step in. Your thoughts on Benedict Cumberbatch, who actually during the time that they were promoting the Avengers movies, actually in real life, they were paired together to do a lot of interviews. So Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland are quite familiar with each other. In fact, Benedict Cumberbatch was the one famous for covering his mouth, Tom Holland's mouth, when it was talking about him trying to let out some secrets. So I want to hear your thoughts on Doctor Strange heading over to Spider-Man 3 and becoming the new mentor for Spider-Man.
I mean, this just seems logical right now, and this is a little bit of a real world logic crossing over with a little bit of a comic book logic, I would say. And you really pointed out the most important thing there. They have a really, really, really good chemistry. And if you think back to a couple years ago when they were doing all the interviews, just like you said, Benedict Cumberbatch was right there to cover his mouth. You can see how playful they were with each other. It almost felt like a younger brother, older brother kind of situation there. And even though that was it was Tony Stark's role to play as the mentor at that time, it's obvious that role needs to continue. He needs to have that mentor to help him develop as a superhero. This is just a kid we're talking about, or a kid that's developed into a young man. So he still needs that guidance. So I'm on board with this. And as a character, I do enjoy Doctor Strange. I would be interested to see how the fans are going to be reacting to this. It's gonna.
Yeah, hold on, sorry.
No.
So what happens when you try to share and it's not trying to share? But I agree with you, my friend. This is something that we're going to see as far as from a mentor standpoint. I think it's the best decision they can make in regards to that, because yes, we did see Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury be kind of like a mentor to him in the last Spider-Man Far From Home, kinda, but he's actually kind of also getting him into stuff, getting him into trouble, getting him into stuff as far as that he wasn't ready for. So I don't know if that kind of played off well as each other. Let's say a Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. Now he's going to be very busy, and maybe it's because his movie's being pushed back with Sam Raimi directing on it. But you got to remember, he's not only doing the second Doctor Strange movie with Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be mentoring her possibly as well as mentoring him. So his place as far as in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is really complete.
Yeah. He's going to be around for years to come, and he's going to be a very busy man between all these movies. And I'm sure he'll be showing up in other people's movies moving forward as well in 2022, 2023 kind of situation. Things that just haven't been announced yet, or we haven't announced the casting on them yet. So
want to give a big shout out to my good friend Jamie Monroy, Degenerate 2018. Want to give him a big shout out on Twitch, and go ahead and check him out today and check out his stuff. He's watching right now as we speak. Thank you so much for watching, and everyone out there listening and watching to us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So it is Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange that's going to be a part of Spider-Man 3. I see it in a similar vein that we've seen already with Iron Man, so that aspect is good. But obviously the first step is trying to find Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, as we last saw in the closing credits, in that closing credits scene, is going to be on the run.
Yep. Sorry. I just got something caught in my throat there. No, this is going to be a lot of fun, man. This is a really good announcement here moving forward. And we were talking last week about Jamie Foxx's Electro coming back for the Spider-Man movie. This is a franchise that's doing nothing but going up right now. And I'm going to be really excited to see when they begin shooting in Atlanta here in October, see what happens with this Spider-Man movie, see what leaks, see what we kind of get to see for the behind the scenes shots, all those, you know how it is. People leak the set photos and the characters walking around. I'm sure there's more up the sleeve here. It's just going to be time will tell with Marvel always.
Well, what's interesting, my friend, is that Tom Holland is filming Uncharted first, which I think under normal circumstances, if he wasn't already filming that movie, probably, with the economic circumstances surrounding what's going on with as far as the lack of theaters and what's going on with COVID and all that, might not get done and might have stayed in development hell forever when you think about it, because it's that unproven IP right now as far as from a film standpoint. So I want to go ahead and say, yes, I'm happy that Uncharted is going to be done. Is it the way I want it to be done on screen? I've said again, I'm on the record as saying this is not the way I would have wanted to see an Uncharted movie, but I'm glad at least it's being done. So after he does that, he is going to go step into the role of Spider-Man 3 once again with, like you said, Jamie Foxx, like we mentioned last week, and also Benedict Cumberbatch in the role of Doctor Strange as well.
I just pulled up the Uncharted movie real quick. It looks like in September they moved filming all the way over to Berlin entirely, and they've resumed. But do you know any further information on that? Are they close to wrapping? Or are they?
Well, they must be close to wrapping it. They were only like 1 or 2 days in when COVID hit and when they had to shut down earlier this year. But so that's the reason why that I think that they had to prioritize filming that movie first over Spider-Man. And that's why they bumped the filming of Spider-Man back. But again, it comes down to this type of unproven IP on a movie screen, even though it's garnered millions and millions of sales in the gaming scene. It's an unproven movie IP, which, looking at it now 6 months later, Sony may have just put that back on the shelf. But now that Tom Holland's done it, now that they're finished filming it, it's like the genie's already left the bottle with that one. So you're going to put that out eventually, someday, on the theaters, maybe 2022 at this point in time. Who knows? But again, at least it's something that's going to come out. At least something gets made. And this goes back to our discussion back earlier. When we talked about how movies are now going to be reevaluated as far as whether or not these companies are going to spend the money on certain projects simply because of the fact that they don't have as much money as they once did.
Yeah. No, it's Gerald. I actually have a really important question here for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the movie industry is going to maintain here over the next year with AMC and Regal announcing that they're starting to shut down more theaters this week?
Exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
the movie industry is in peril right now, like we've never seen it before. So,
well, yeah, and that's you were just saying that with the the declining budgets moving forward, but I just don't understand how we come out on the other side with any movie theaters.
Well, that's the thing that also Patty Jenkins of Wonder Woman 1984, director of that, and also Wonder Woman, she has said that these changes could be permanent and may not be reversible.
That's insane.
What are your thoughts out there on Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange heading to the world of Spider-Man and being part of the Spider-Verse coming up for Spider-Man 3? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we hit the break, my friend, I really want to talk. I want to talk to you real quick about the delays. Speaking of which is obviously your favorite subject, as you have noted on almost every podcast that we've done together recently.
Yeah.
First off, the Batman has been moved back to 2022. We've got also as well Dune that just got delayed, which I called on Monday's show, by the way. I called it. That was moved the next day after I called it. That was moved to next December of 2021. Matrix 4 is one of the only movies that's being moved up right now. One of the very few. And that's been moved up to it's actually moved up to December of 2021 as opposed to its April of 2022. And that was actually, I think, ping-pong back before. That was moved back before. So this is moving back up. If people are going to need a scorecard here for a sec, because all these movies that are being ping-pong back and forth, it's just incredible. But then you also have The Flash. That's been moved to November of 2022. There's also Shazam 2. It's been pushed back to 2023 in June. Black Adam and Minecraft have been taken off the schedule entirely. Then you have also, with the problems with Jurassic World Dominion, that's been moved back to 2022. And obviously they're trying to film it right now, but they can't because of a coronavirus outbreak on the set. All these big issues with movies being pushed around all over the place. It's so confusing for everyone out there. And in fact, going forward, people are not going to take release dates seriously because they think they're just going to be moved.
Absolutely. We're doing irreparable damage right now. And the big changes that DC announced this week with all their movies is really showing that James Bond was the final straw for a lot of these movies when they finally announced.
Well, it was for Cineworld, that's for sure.
Yeah, when they announced that James Bond wasn't going to be launching worldwide this November, it killed everything. I feel like that just took the wind out of the sails for not only the movie theaters, but a lot of the other movies around the world that we're hoping that they could get out this year. So,
well, I mean, because it was heavily reliant for the UK market, because that earns big dollars in the UK market. Cineworld, which has the Regal locations here in the United States, but is mainly a UK theater provider, they just shut down completely after that news. Shut down. They're in the process of shutting down completely, and that's just a very sad sign.
Yeah, it's and like we were just talking about 2 minutes ago, and like we've talked about for the last month, this is doing irreparable damage to our entertainment industry, and it's not anything we can do about it right now. I think on the other side, it's going to require us to be better patrons to the movie theaters again. Stop pirating things online. I don't know a lot of people that still do, but I know that's a huge culture here in the United States. But I think if on the other side of COVID, when things start getting back to normal, people have the funds to do the things that they normally would do. We need to make sure we're being patrons to the movie theaters as they open back up, if we want to see entertaining movies in the next 5-7 years.
Absolutely. So what are your thoughts out there on all these movies ping-ponging all over the place when it comes to release dates? Are you going to be heading back to the movies whenever it's safe to do so? Are you going there now? Or have you really just decided that, you know what, I'm just going to wait for at least in the short term and even long-term future, just to sit at home and wait for these movies to come VOD? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, there's more to talk about on today's show, my friend. I want to go ahead and hit you up on this. Speaking of movies, there's one movie that a lot of people are really getting excited about that I and Josh were really high on from the beginning. That I think we were. I may have been on the fence, but you know what? Okay, I'll just say this. I'll just throw this all out. That Josh and I did note, and I think we were pretty high on, and that was Free Guy. And Free Guy came out with another trailer, and it dropped on Monday, and a lot of people are really excited for this. Not only the fact that I think it's Disney, it's a Disney movie that they are sticking right now, which again, I would keep that on a pencil and eraser there, that they are sticking to that December release date. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. It garnered about 50 million plus views, that trailer did, in its first 24 hours, which it's not quite Marvel-like, but it's close. It's very close to Marvel-like numbers. It's like DC numbers. It's like any real top movie numbers outside of the Marvel. Marvel just gets out through the stratosphere. So, you and I both know that. But
yeah, I've never heard somebody say it's like DC numbers and meant it as like a
DC
as like
and Marvel still. Sorry for the backhanded compliment there for DC, but DC is still not at level where it comes out and it's the same type of reaction that they get as Marvel gets. You got to admit that. But anyways. No. But as I was saying, what are your thoughts on Free Guy getting the kind of interest? People want to see something. They want to see something that they perceive as really good entertainment. And this is not just a Ryan Reynolds, I'm here for a cash grab, I'm going to Netflix and shooting up things and cursing all the time, like he's already done a couple times already. And this is something that is a different beat. It's a kind of a novel concept. I like the fact that he's an NPC in a video game that no longer wants to be an NPC in a video game. And the way that it's being presented is truly one of a kind.
Yeah, this is a beautiful concept. This guy is just going to realize that he's a back character in an open world video game. And it feels like a little bit of Just Cause, the video game series.
Yes.
Just Cause, yeah. Mixed with
Just Cause.
But it feels like that mixed with a little bit of Ready Player One with a little bit of other stuff going on. But this is going to be a great movie. I watched the trailer twice in the lead up to our episode today, and I had no clue anything had been released yet to date on the movie, other than just the announcement and some of the teasers. But I watched that trailer. Wow, I was hooked. It feels like Deadpool kind of meets. Something else. And I know I keep throwing out some comparisons here, but I don't know. This feels like an explosive movie waiting to happen. It's going to have that Deadpool-esque level of humor and then I don't want to say intelligence, but there might be a little intelligence there.
Well, this movie is a movie I think that is going to be one of those few movies that can actually take advantage of the situation, because let's say it was going to come out during normal times on the same around December. I think it got pushed back originally. I think it was going to be a middle part of the, I think it's going to be a summer movie, if I'm not mistaken, or late summer movie. Mm-hmm. And then it got pushed back to December. I'm just going off the top of my head here, so you have to bear with me. But I think it got pushed back. But had it come out when it was originally going to come out in an original climate, in a normal climate, I think it would have gotten buried. But I think now people are really paying attention to this because it's coming at a time where it's coming out literally almost by itself as a premiere movie. And outside of the award movies that are going to be coming around that time that are trying to go ahead and garner acclaim for Oscars and trying to get noticed and things of that nature that you'll see that are either going to come out limited in theaters and going to go straight to VOD or coming out on Netflix or any other streaming outlet. This is something that is different, that people want to go ahead and now check out, and now is getting the attention because it's not being pushed back anymore. It's not being pushed back to any stretch. Disney is going to support this. Disney sees this as an opportunity where, hey, this is that movie that doesn't cost as much as some of the other stuff that we're doing that we have to push back. We're going to take a gamble on this film, and we're going to go ahead and see what we can do with it. So we think this could be a really big hit for us. And in the circumstances right now, a really big hit, you should gauge differently. You can't say a really big hit is $1 billion movie, because there's nothing that out there right now. Even Avengers Endgame might not good, if it came out, couldn't get $1 billion. It may, but I don't think it could in the certain circumstances, especially with all the theaters closed. But under the circumstances, this could be one of the biggest hits, if not the biggest hit of 2020. Now, the standards are lower, but it could be one of the biggest hits of 2020.
Yeah, it's this is definitely one of those movies that's going to tip the scales here. I'm just looking through the backlog, or not the backlog, but the history of this movie, the production history of this movie. This is one that was started with 20th Century Fox and then got transitioned after the buyout there over to Disney. I'm kind of excited, and actually, it is one of the. It might be the first or the second to continue production under Disney ownership. So I'll be excited to see how that transition plays into the film itself, and I'm sure just having the marketing prowess of Disney behind you is going to change the entire outcome of this, the reception of this film.
And the movie Dune, which we talked about just before the break, that is being pushed back to December of 2021, that helps a movie like Free Guy, one of these mid-tier movies. And just basically in reality, it's a mid-tier movie. It helps it out immensely, and it brings it up into a more realization, a higher platform. People are being more aware of it. People that weren't going to be aware of it are now becoming aware of Free Guy and will become aware of Free Guy, and maybe that's an option for them because they're not going to have as many options at this point, or at that point in time in mid-December.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your thoughts out there on Free Guy possibly becoming the biggest hit of 2020? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been great so far. I cannot thank you enough for joining me here on today's program. I want to go ahead before we hit up Lucas Egan from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He's coming up here on this back half of the show for everyone out there listening on audio outlets everywhere you can, or on radio stations worldwide. I want to go ahead and give some props. They sent me out this right here. Now, this might not look as much. In fact, a lot of people out there are no longer interested in corded earphones. They love to work out. They love the earbuds. They love to go ahead and have, obviously everything as far as the iPods, not the iPods, but, as far as the earpods in there, as far as whether it's Apple or whatever maker that's out there in their ears now. They love the wireless transportability, the Bluetooth and all that. Well, I recently got sent over by One More these quad driver in-ear headphones. And I'll tell you what, I understand that people love their accessibility and they love their earpods. I'm not going to tell them differently on that, but there are a select few out there that still love their corded earphones because they think they provide a little bit better sound quality. And these are one of the few headphones. In fact, it was the first headphones that were certified by THX. So these are the first THX certified in-ear headphones. And these are, I'll tell you what, the sound on these are amazing. And I got a full review of it, again, at popculturecosmos.com. You want to check it out, it's right there for you. Again, these are small little earbuds with really nice drivers. But as they fit in your ears, it fits really comfy at a 45-degree angle. But again, the sound is truly amazing. It is the first to be THX certified, but it is corded, and I get that. So a lot of people are saying, hey, I want a Bluetooth option. You know what? They do have a package that you can get on Amazon right now that comes with this right here. That's a Bluetooth adapter for you, and it fits. It has a nice little clip. It's got a little button right there to go ahead and manage through as far as your tracks or calls or what have you. But you can also do that from the earphones as well. I will tell you this, if you're interested in quality sound that you may not be getting from your earpods, I think a definite outlook you just need to look at is the one more quad driver in here headphones if you still want to deal with corded. But if you want cordless option for $29.99 extra or as a package on Amazon, and I'll put it in the links in the description that you can go ahead and check out, you can get this Bluetooth adapter from One More as well. So I had a great time with it. You can check out my full thoughts on both, where I give honest reviews and what my thoughts are on it at popculturecosmos.com. But my friend, I know a lot of people are earpod lovers. And I know that you see on interviews all the time, they've got the earpods on, whether it's Apple's, whether it's Samsung's. Well, not like your over-the-ear headsets. I'm talking about
yeah, like the actual white, headphones.
Yeah, just right there. So I understand that that's going to be a trend in the future, but there are a select few out there that love, there you go. But there are a select few out there that love their corded earphones. And if you do love corded earphones because you think they provide a little bit better sound, and also the latency issue that sometimes comes about when you're dealing with just strict Bluetooth earpods, I think this is probably the best way to go. So, again, if you have someone in your life that loves to work out with corded earphones or loves to listen to corded earphones at work, this is definitely a great option because it is, again, the first to be certified by THX.
All you audiophiles out there, make sure you get on that One More quad driver in your headphone then.
There you go. And again, check out my thoughts on it. And also there are links there to go ahead if you are interested in purchasing it. That's coming. That's available now for you at popculturecosmos.com. My friend, I'm also going to give everybody heads up on the Monday program. I'm going to be giving you a matchup between the Turtle Beach Stealth 600 and Stealth 700. Which one is better? Which one is better for your money? I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that on the Monday show. So I'm in the middle of going ahead and deciding which one is better, the 600s or the 700s. So I'm going to let you know on the Monday show, the Pop Culture Cosmos. Before we hit the break, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and pay our respects. So I think I'll do it right now and pay our respects to some music artists that actually passed away, and some very influential ones. In fact, one of the greatest guitar players of all time and a very underrated keyboard player as well, Eddie Van Halen, passed away this week at the age of 65 from cancer. So I want to hear your thoughts. I know myself how much Van Halen was to me. It was maybe not one of my upper echelon groups, but I just could not help loving Panama. Not loving Panama. I mean, I could not help but love Panama. I could not help but love Jump. I could not help but love all the great songs that they had. Whether it was David Lee Roth, whether it was Sammy Hagar, didn't matter to me. Van Halen rocked, and there were certain point of times whether I had the top down on the car or I'm driving on the freeway. My gosh, there's no better band to play than Van Halen.
Yeah, it's this is a big loss for us here. Eddie Van Halen definitely piloted that entire style of playing the guitar with what's it called? It's not hammering, but it's man.
Well, he was the first to really initiate as far as on the hammer itself on the ends with two hands.
Yeah, the double hand playing style. Yeah.
Yes. he initiated that. He really just revolutionized that. In fact, he created his own guitar out of a Fender and a Strat.
The Frankenstein.
To create that.
Strat.
Yeah, the Frankenstein, that based off of Frankenstein. So, and that actually got patented. So he actually helped initiate that type of movement, and his unique style of guitar solos is unmatched. I mean, him and Jimi Hendrix, they're two of my top guitar players of all time.
I'll tell you what, I did not know until today that he was the guitar solo for Beat It, Michael Jackson's Beat It.
Absolutely.
I had no clue. Yeah.
You had no clue? Oh, man, you're missing out, man. Because, he did actually perform. And actually, I think he was in live performances with him. Absolutely. It's just tremendous guitar player. But again, he also provided the keyboards to I'll Wait, and also the big hit that they had with Sammy Hagar. That was just very keyboard heavy. He loved messing around with the keyboard as well. So a truly talented musician and one of the greats of all time. I will dearly miss him. I understand that this probably just finishes off all the feuding and infighting with Van Halen, so we'll never see a comeback tour, obviously, for now. But and it's just at the very end, at the ending years, you see the infighting and what went on with Van Halen. It's very sad to see them not go ahead and really get back to the way we wanted them to. But as a marquee band for the 80s and early 90s, there was none better.
Yeah, I mean, they totally shaped the sound of the 80s. When you think back to Run with the Devil or even Jump was 1984, Run with the Devil was 1978. You start looking at other things, Beat It was 1982. But I mean, like, a lot of their songs were...
Right Now is the one with Sammy Hagar that everybody seems to also put in there.
But I mean, you start looking at the dates on those, they really did shape the sound of the 80s, and they continued to shape the sound of the 80s. It was, they started in 1978 and just started plowing through and pumping out songs that were major hits at the time. I think it was their first album, made it to number 19 on the Billboard chart, just out the gate. This is a band that had a major pop culture influence for us, and to lose Eddie Van Halen now it stings a little bit. This is a guy that was a very, 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 very talented musician.
But he also lived a hard life, and
he did.
Unfortunately, when you live the hard life, at some point in time, you may have to pay the man indeed. But our respects and thoughts are with, and condolences are with the family of Eddie Van Halen, who passed away this week at the age of 65. I also want to give a shout out to the family as far as paying respects to the family of Johnny Nash. Not as a familiar name, but everyone I think out there at some point in time will hear the song I Can See Clearly Now. And, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Yeah. That's the guy. And unfortunately, he has passed away as well, I think at the age of 80. So I wish him and his family all the best. Our condolences to them. We lost two great artists that have left us tremendous works. So hopefully you'll get to hear not only I Can See Clearly Now, but go ahead through the back catalog of Van Halen songs and give them both a listen to this weekend. What are your thoughts out there on the loss of Eddie Van Halen and Johnny Nash? We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also, again, big shout out to you, Jamie. Can't wait to hear you again, have you on the show. Can't wait, get back on the show as soon as you can, my friend. Plus also that project, man, I want to hear your thoughts on that. Ted Lasso? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll hit up Ted Lasso here in a minute, but I just wanted to go ahead and give everybody a heads up that right after the break, for those listening on audio formats everywhere, it's Lucas Egan from the Las Vegas Review Journal. He's going to go ahead and share his thoughts on the video game scene with the console generation coming out in the not too distant future, plus the world of esports. Where's everything at in his opinion? You got to go ahead and check out my conversation of Lucas Egan from the Las Vegas Review Journal and the awesome podcast Lamp Parties coming up right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. We'll go ahead and do the Ted Lasso at the end then.
Yeah. If you want to throw it in there, we could do just a minute or two teaser, and then we can actually do a full breakdown next week if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll ask you to share your thoughts on that. So,
yeah.
All right, gotta love that meta podcasting here, right in the middle of the show.
I'm sorry, I just thought of it, and it was like,
don't worry, dude. Don't worry, my friend. I love it. I love it indeed. No worries. And we're back with we're back with the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Pop Culture Cosmos, along with my good friend, Mr. Marcus de la Garza. And once again, a big shout out to Jamie Monroy watching and listening out there. Appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our show worldwide on radio and also every podcast outlet. Cannot thank enough Lucas Egan from the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Land Parties, the awesome video game podcast, for stopping by on today's show. We truly appreciate it. In fact, he's going to be stopping by again just after the launch of the next generation and also as well Black Friday to give us his thoughts on where these consoles are at in this next generation. So it's great to hear his thoughts. Speaking of pop culture gifts this holiday season, it's almost that time, my friend. It's that time for everybody out there to go ahead and start thinking about what they want for this holiday season. That, in my case, probably will not get. But you know what? I want to hear your thoughts on what you want. If you had 5 on your list of pop culture holiday gifts, what would they be?
I'm going to Apple fanboy here for a second.
Android.
I know. But I'm going to Apple fanboy here for a second. For those of you that don't have an Apple Watch, I think one of the top gifts I'm thinking from a wearable electronics perspective would be the Apple Watch SE. They just introduced it this year. It's got it's got more limited capabilities than the Apple Watch 6 has, but it still has that larger Retina OLED display, and it's the perfect fitness tracker. This is a more of an entry level wearable for Apple. It's not as expensive as their full Model 6. It's not as expensive as the Series 5. But I will say that this is going to run laps around your average smartwatch here in the sense of I can't think of many Garmin's or anything else that's going to compete with it. The level of integration is insane if you've got an iPhone. Obviously, if you don't, like Gerald, you're going to be looking at something else for a wearable this holiday season. Maybe Gerald's got a suggestion for us. Do you have one off the gate?
Well, wearable. My wife has a Samsung smartwatch. Mm-hmm. So maybe I will go ahead and honey, maybe get one for me.
I think you should.
But go ahead, man. I want to continue on your list. List.
I was going to say, I think the Apple Watch SE is going to be outstanding. The Nintendo Switch Lite, I mean, if you don't already have a Switch, this is a great pickup here.
Good luck trying to get one.
I agree. It's going to be the same thing with the follow-up here and I'm going to be the big ticket item person here, I guess. I know I'm throwing just $300 gifts at everybody here, but I'm going to be the big ticket gift giver here. PS5 is the other one. Obviously all these are contingent on stock being available, you being able to get your hands on some of that stock when it is available. There's a lot of ifs here. The other big thing for me is going to be the Apple AirPods Pro. It's when we were talking about the corded headphones with the one more quad drivers, this is something that I was actually like, when you started talking about them, I was pretty excited about it. And the reason is I think that we've lost a lot of audio quality over the last few years in switching over to Bluetooth. Yes, we've made huge strides in getting back some of that quality, but it's always going to have some compression. It's always going to have, you're always going to lose packets. You're always going to have some issues with Bluetooth quality. So if you're not going to do the one more quad driver in your headphones, I would say take a look at the AirPods Pro. But it's, and not even the Pro, it's the Pro 2 now, but it's definitely the headset that I'm looking forward to until the Sentian bone conduction headphones come out in the next 6 months. And we haven't talked about that on the show before, but it's a brand that I'm following very closely. Emrich, the man behind it, he actually presented at CES this past year and had a very good presentation, and somebody that I communicate with online. So I'm really looking forward to these new bone conduction headphones. I've watched some of the reviews for them. Obviously, that's not going to be on your top 5 gifts of 2020, but I'll tell you, as soon as they come out, I'll let everybody know so that you can get your pre-order in. When you look at other bone conduction headphones, these are going to be outstanding, just because of the microphone that's inside of them. So that's 3. That's
3.
that's 4 technically.
Okay, 4. Okay, what would be your last one, my friend?
I actually don't have a last one for right now. If you give me
That's
just
a
a
list
few
of 5, man.
well, all right. Look, I gave you like $1,000 worth of
Is there a
electronics.
game you want? Is there a game? I asked this of Lucas, who obviously
Call of Duty.
Wait, hold on. I asked this of Lucas, and he said the same thing as far as PlayStation is the one he's interested in. Yeah. But he also mentioned for him as a game that he wants above any other this holiday, it would be Cyberpunk 2077. So if you had the same choice to add this a 5th on the list, there's got to be a video game that you want more than any other.
I mean, obviously, if I don't buy Call of Duty myself, I'm gonna ask for that for Christmas. Either that or Cyberpunk 2077. We've talked about both of those games ad nauseum for the last few weeks, and I think either one of them are going to be a great pickup. For me, I'm probably just going to go ahead and buy Call of Duty so that I can drag you into the zombie gameplay again. But if that doesn't happen, then yes, I'll put it on my Christmas list.
Okay. Well, again, I get a lot of zombie gameplay with the latest update for Left 4 Dead 2, but I'm thinking seriously hard about Call of Duty as well because of the fact that it has that intriguing storyline that I'm really digging. Plus, again, the zombies and, of course, the regular multiplayer. So I'm very interested in seeing how that is working out. I know that Jamie Monroy has said he's already getting into the beta. So that's something that obviously is very appealing to a lot of people out there, is testing it out, seeing how that multiplayer beta will pan out, because multiplayer betas to me are really a great way for people to get introduced to whatever's coming up for this game. So I do definitely like that option indeed. But for me, my list of 5, I'm going to start off with the big one. Would probably be, if I'm leaning towards the one now, and I said if I had to get one now, if the incentives on trading in my Xbox One or doing some other things to go ahead and get enough cashola for it or store credit for it, I'd probably say if I'm leaning towards one or the other, I'm going to be leaning towards the Xbox Series, I think. Although, as I said to Lucas, I'm going to have both. So it's inevitable. I'm going to get both. I'm looking right now at every single of this current generation right here to my left. So I'm going to have the same thing going on at the next generation. It's inevitable that I will have both, but I'm probably going to start with the Xbox. Go ahead.
I've got a question for you. How many generations of consoles do you own currently?
Well, I've traded a few in, so
okay,
I'm not the kind that hoards it. I mean, if I kept everyone since Pong, I would have probably 15, 16 systems sitting in the closet right now. So
I thought you were going to tell us you had a beautiful setup and every one of them's in a cabinet.
No. Okay. Unfortunately, you know what? Hindsight is 2020, and there were certain times financially where it just didn't work out like that, and I needed to go ahead and trade in. If I wanted to buy this game or wanted to buy this new console, I had to trade in the old one, et cetera, et cetera. But hindsight's 2020, and I would have kept everything. I would be... I would have a nice library. I wouldn't have the biggest library, but I would have a decent library that I could be proud of as far as the huge stockpile of games and things of that nature. But again, trading it in over the years has been, in fact, I ran 2 video game stores. I mean, I just saw every single day how much these trade values were. So it was really hard to resist on trading things in from time to time. But getting back to what we were talking about as far as number 1 would be Xbox. Getting the new Xbox Series X would be probably for me, even though I don't have HD programming on my television now. I only have 1080. Still, I want to be set up for the future. So if I'm going to go into Xbox, I'm going to go into it big. Number 2, let's go with something like maybe some gaming headphones. Maybe thinking about some other gaming headphones that people don't have out there. If you don't, then I already got my second gift right here. It would probably be one of the Turtle Beach right here for you. So I'm thinking the Turtle Beach 700 in my tester so far. But again, that's for me right now. I'm probably going to go ahead and have a final decision on the Monday show. But if I'm leaning one way or the other between the 6 and 700, I'd probably go for the 700s, which is right now around 150. So that would be a great number 2 gift, but I already got that already. Number 3, I would probably say Cyberpunk 2077. It's the game that's had a lot of hype. And Lucas Egan, he said on the show, he's excited for it because of Keanu Reeves. I know Keanu Sans is in high order A lot of people are excited for Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 2077. It's going to be a massive hit. It's going to be massively pushed and massively advertised all over your face when it comes out in November, because you're going to see nothing but Keanu Reeves all over the place for it, whether it's live or on a commercial. So I'm definitely interested in getting Cyberpunk 2077. So that's number 3 for me. Number 4 on my holiday gifts list would probably be something that I would say, I would probably say it just got announced this week at number 4. And Sean Astin himself announced it. And that is the Lord of the Rings 4K Blu-ray set that's going to be coming out. The whole set, all 3, just announced the Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Return of the King coming out in 4K Blu-ray. That's coming out this holiday season, just in time. What do you know? So I'm going to go ahead, and that would be number 4 as someone who just worships the movies that the Lord of the Rings movies are based, on. Absolutely love those movies. I would just absolutely be enthralled to that. Or if you could go ahead in a tie, give me that entire MCU library that was sold earlier this year, that entire 23-pack or 22-pack of Blu-ray Blu-rays. That would be an awesome set indeed. But that's like no longer available, I don't think. So it's really hard to get. So I guess I'm going to have to be shorted out on that one. And number 5, it's a simple thing. It's a Dungeons & Dragons t-shirt, because over the past 6 months, I've gotten back into Dungeons & Dragons. I've really enjoyed my time. If you check out our streams every Monday, or you can check out The Lost Mine of Fandiver, it's still all over the place on Facebook and wherever you get your videos on Facebook Live. You can see our streams. We have a great time doing it. I've enjoyed my time there. My time in Star Wars Mercenaries, in that role-playing game. So there's a shirt that's being sold on GameStop. I know a lot of people have looked at it in my group, and they've laughed and they've enjoyed it and say they want that shirt. And that is with a 1 pair of dice, with a roll, unfortunately, I get all too often, which is the number 1.
I knew you were going to say that.
And one word right below it, crap. Because you just rolled a 1, which is the worst roll that you can get in Dungeons & Dragons. And as a laugh, I think that's good to have. So there you go. There's my list. There's Marcus' list for this. I
actually have a correction.
Okay,
I do.
Correction.
I'm sorry. I've got to butt in, Gerald, and give a correction of my own. I said AirPods Pro 2. I was looking at a story beforehand about how they're being delayed till 2021. So, in keeping with our theme, delays. Just continuing on here. My apologies on that, but my apologies. I cut you off on top of that, Gerald. But
no worries. You cut off me away. No biggie. So yeah, there you go. There's Marcus' list with the correction indeed. And then there's also my list of the 5 holiday gifts that we're both looking at this holiday season, although I got one already. What are your thoughts on your 5 holiday pop culture gifts for this holiday season? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, news just hit during our show that GameStop and Microsoft have set up a deal, which is something we will talk about on the Monday show. Josh and I are going to break that down. I'm going to take some time to analyze it, but I do want to give everybody heads up on the way out that Microsoft and GameStop have made a deal as far as maybe promotional, exclusivity, things of that nature. So this could be a way to help the extremely struggling GameStop stay afloat, at least for the next couple of years. But we'll see. Again, check out the Monday show with Josh and I, where we'll break this down even more and see if that could be a saving grace for the company going forward. But before we head on out, my friend, I know you wanted to talk Ted Lasso. So that's something that's been on your mind for a few weeks now.
It is.
Tell me your thoughts on Ted Lasso before we head on out.
Yeah, before we head on out, let's get there. I do want to say I'm interested to hear your perspective with Josh on how the GameStop deal is going to affect Microsoft's game production and game sales, because they just bought ZeniMax Media last week. So it seems like we're trying to control the entire marketplace here, from production to sales. Interested to hear your breakdown on that. But let's talk Ted Lasso for a second. I just want to give a 1-minute teaser on this show. Give everybody a chance to at least go watch an episode. Gerald, I'm going to do my best to make sure that you watch an episode. I'll find a way to get you access to it if you don't have access to Apple TV.
I'll get access to it.
Okay, all right. But this is definitely one of those shows it's killing me right now, man. I can't believe it's not more watched. It's one of the premise behind it is, and people may or may not remember, but on NBC Sportsnet, they used to do the shows or the commercials with Jason Sudeikis as an American football coach coaching an English Premier League soccer team. They built an entire TV show around this, and it's absolutely outstanding. Whether you love sports, you don't love sports, this is definitely one of those shows that you want to go watch. It's giving you all the best feels in the 2020 feeling record of a year. And it's a perfect 30-minute show. I will say, let's put this disclaimer on it now. It's not a family show. It's not for young children. This is definitely an 18-plus show or 15-plus show. It's British humor, a lot of crass words, and just motions. Worth the watch, outstandingly hilarious, and we'll break it down in full detail next week.
We'll find out. Absolutely. More on Ted Lasso. I'll give it a watch and see what goes on with it, just to give you, a heads up as well. So definitely go ahead and we'll check out Ted Lasso and see what Marcus thinks on next week's PCC Multiverse, just what he thinks of Ted Lasso. Just to let you know, Jamie's all in for Call of Duty with you, my friend. So he is going to go ahead and meet up with you on that, Degenerate 2018 on Twitch. We've got to go ahead and give him another shout out. We thank him so much for watching. As far as that D&D game, my friend, all the stuff is coming out for D&D. They release stuff regularly. I'd love to get in more adventures. You've got to join us for our Monday adventures of D&D, my friend. You and Marcus and everybody else involved. If you get a chance, please join us on one of our Monday adventures. Join us one of our Tuesday adventures. Whatever you can do. D&D, you should at least give it a try for once. It's actually a lot better and a lot more fun than what you think. So there you go. All right. So for Marcus de la Garza, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day. And Jamie,